We're at the point where we're talking about the resources and then the reason that they're, I guess, what they're doing to the Pashtuns.
So I think this is important to know that the Pashtuns have never had anything to do with terror. We are a free people. We want really the right to live and the right to live freely and move around freely, and the freedom for speech. And we want, for example, the right for education in our own language for our children, and we want to have a say in our resources. We don't want to be sold out to China, for example. And what I was talking about is that the terror is a pretext. There is a lot of terror, but it's not from Pashtuns. It's a big project of Pakistan just to have a pretext to infiltrate our area, which they did. And now they make the situation worse. After making the people to flee to this place, they have this whole no-go area for themselves to strengthen the terrorism even more, in which they are using as a strategic depth in Afghanistan. I think to take it one step further, they are what they want is to erase the cultural identity of Pashtuns, of Baluchis, of Hazaras, of all minorities, because Pakistan is a country based on religion and not based on cultural identity. And we say to them, okay, it doesn't matter, we have a constitution, we have little in common with other, with other, for example, with Punjabis, but then there is a constitution. Let's respect the constitution. That's the only thing that is holding us together. But no, they don't even believe in their own constitution. They are violating the constitution on the one side, and they are making discriminatory laws specialized for Pashtuns, tailor-made for Pashtuns. For example, there was a law last year passed by the provincial parliament of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is called Ordinance in Aid of Civil Power. This law is specialized, tailor-made for Pakhtunkhwa only, not in other provinces, and it has large elements of martial law. It's actually worse than martial law. For example, one of the things in one of the clauses in that law is that you can capture, you can arrest anybody without a trial. You can keep the person arrested for a long time without a trial, even if that person is perceived to be thinking or planning to do something against the state. So this is really a dark law it's called In Aid of Civil Power, Ordinance in Aid of Civil Power. And so tailor-made for Pashtuns. Once again, this is important to know. And
what does that mean, tailor-made?
I mean, this law is not in other provinces, only in Pakhtunkhwa. Yes, only in Pakhtunkhwa, and it is very similar to martial law. So I mean, if you define by the law that you can capture someone without committing a crime, but it's only if that person is thinking about a crime, and you can think that that person is thinking about so this is a very, very dangerous situation.
What is the procedure that I guess what is the judicial procedure for Pashtuns?
So there is no the law allows the security forces, and so in aid of civil power means that the army is allowed to aid the police, so they can arrest you without any so this is a kind of a law supposed to be against terrorism, so you don't need permission from the judge. You can arrest people for I'm not sure, for a long time, for weeks, without going to a trial. So this is we think is created just to oppress, to silence Pashtuns, to silence the voice for human rights. And before these kind of laws were getting passed in darkness, in silence, but now there is PTM, which we represent, the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, and PTM exposed this law, and now we are fighting. This law is being fighted in the Supreme Court in Islamabad, that we say this law is designed to oppress, to discriminate Pashtuns. So I think, to summarize, discriminating, oppressing us by discriminatory laws, but on the one side, and on the other side, abusing, violating the constitution also to oppress us, because even the elementary basic rights that we have are not respected, and this is all to erase our culture, erase our ethnicity, so that one day we don't think about who we are, and then they hopefully have a slave society, which the Pakistani establishment, which is actually the army, can dictate.
And so now you found yourself at the Human Rights Council. I'm wondering, what are your goals here? What do you seek to achieve from this mechanism, and why did the PTM choose this forum to pursue these issues?
Yeah, this is a very important question. This is our first time that we are here officially. I think there were people who, there were Pashtuns who came here, but from PTM perspective, we are for the first time here. So we think we have to knock on every door in the world, of the free world, to hear our voice, because we are surprised, or people are surprised to hear our story, that actually we are a peace-loving people, so, and we are against terrorism, but this fake picture of Pashtuns has been created in the world by Pakistan, that terrorism comes from Pashtuns and that they are fighting it, and this is a completely fake picture, and that's why we go to Human Rights Council of the UN, to European parliaments, to national parliaments, to human rights organizations, to tell them, please notice, pay attention to this double game of Pakistan. We have very modest demands, which is life, right to live a dignified life and free in our lands, and we want to have a say in things going on in our lands. Other question?
I'm wondering, I guess I can wait a second, but basically, what international laws are you, I guess, seeking protection under? What international laws is Pakistan breaking?
Yeah, I think the Declaration of Human Rights Declaration of
Universal Declaration.
Universal of Human Rights is by that declaration we deserve not to be persecuted based on our culture or language, and so Pakistan is violating that, but furthermore Pakistan is violating its own constitution, because the constitution guarantees equal rights to all citizens, and we are second degree citizens in Pakistan. So the electricity, for example, water, electricity resources come from Pakhtunkhwa and from Balochistan, and it's being exported to Punjab and then resold for a much higher prices back to us. And we live in poverty. To find work, we go to cities like Lahore and Rawalpindi or Karachi, while the riches come from our country. So by creating this chaos in this fake war, they destroy our lands. They have made a business out of our lives. You know, they are waging war and businesses to enrich themselves, and I think this is against humanity, against any law and any declaration, international or of our Pakistani constitution itself.
And what were your expectations of the council coming in? What were you thinking before? What were you hoping for? What did you expect of the council?
We expect the council to put pressure on Pakistan to demand from Pakistan to respect human rights,
Mm-hmm.
to respect the rights of citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think if the world community joins the human rights
Mm-hmm.
organizations, human rights activists like PTM. Pakistan is sensitive to that because Pakistan is dependent on foreign
Mm-hmm.
aid, and they do want to have friends for their projects and their conspiracy-wise projects in the region. So I think if we expose Pakistan to the world community, but we hope the Human Rights Council sees this problem, sees that this is really amounting almost to genocide,
Mm-hmm.
and that they put this on the international agenda and pressures Pakistan to
What do you
stop.
define as a genocide?
So I think if you look into the definition of genocide in internationally recognized, is there not a switch that is more durable?
We have to do some editing with it.
Adwara waha. Abalamwa. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Both.
Yeah. So the definition of genocide or ethnic cleansing is if you literally physically kill the people,
Mm-hmm.
which they do. We have had many massacres. We have had complete villages and towns destroyed. But also, for example, oppressing or annihilating culture and language. Also, for example, socio-economically, economic aspects, they are destroying our businesses. They are looting our resources. So
Mm-hmm.
we migrate to other cities, or we go even for work to Arabic countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these are all aspects
Mm-hmm.
to, for example, not even education in non-Pashtun languages. We
Mm-hmm.
don't get that. We don't have the right to education in any language. So
You don't have right to be educated in Pashto?
no, there are no schools. So the school there were the least concentration of schools in Pakistan is in Pashtun areas, and the schools, for example, especially in the federally administered areas in FATA, in the Pashtun belt on the Durand line, there were very few schools, and those have been destroyed, have been bombarded, or some of them have been occupied by the army to be used as a military post. So I think these are all elements of a gradual ethnic cleansing or genocide going on in our areas.
And you as well, I'm wondering, for, I believe it was Yusuf?
So,
What were your expectations? What were you expecting when you came to the council? What did you think the council was, and how has your experience here compared to your expectations?
we came first time here.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got any experience about because in practical, but we came with hope. Maybe the international organization, when they listen our voice and they press the Pakistani government.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, you are the law student, and you will give any statements from Canada. This will be more help for us. And we must be asked from your help.
Mm-hmm.
because you are not only the student of law, but you are, when we meet with you here, it means that you are you have the pen of the people of Hazara, and you representing them, how the Pakistani government killing them, kidnapping them without any reason. Minority in Pakistan, like Baloch, and like Pashtun, we are same the oppressed people in Pakistan. I suppose we must be together all with Baloch people, continue our struggle against the brutality or this practicing their weapon on us. We must be show their maturity to international human rights organization, because we are living in the country under constitution. We are struggling for our human rights, our basic rights. We want to stop them to killing us and to occupy our sources or minerals.
And I guess on that note, I'm wondering, what are your perspectives on, now that you've come here as well, and I think you've met a lot of different minority groups, the Baloch, a lot of different people fighting for similar causes, but in their communities. What do you think is the difference and the similarity between what's happening in Pakistan, minority groups, between the Pashtun, the Baloch, the Hazara? What is similar, what is different, and what are the efforts to perhaps collaborate and build upon what we saw in the council here? I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, because it seems like there is a trend of persecuting minorities in Pakistan, but I'm wondering what is the nuance of that, since you are from the community?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out one very big difference is that PTM, Pashtun Tafo's movement, is a strictly non-violent movement. We have seen many representatives of many organizations which fight for their rights and their freedom, but they believe in a struggle with a violent struggle, actually, if it be needed. But we think we have chosen non-violence. It's not out of necessity, but out of choice. And I think that's the strength of us, because the Pakistani army knows very well how to deal with violence, because they crush it, and that's why the PTM has grown so much in such a short time. Our protests gather hundreds of thousands of people. That's because we say our slogan is, "Those behind the terror are the ones in the uniform." You know, this in Urdu, this has caught up with so many people. So we are not afraid. We call out on the army. We tell the truth. We are not afraid of being imprisoned or tortured. But we in our 2-year history, there is not a single case of violence, even by mistake, of our movement. We have not broken even a small tree or a plant. We organize our protests also in an area that normal traffic or normal daily life doesn't get disturbed. So while we sympathize with the causes of other organizations, we believe in a non-violent and legal mechanism of getting our rights, and I think we hope the Human Rights Council and other organizations, but also the whole the world community in large, is sensitive to that, because we, as I told, we have very modest demands, which is right to live and have their human rights given by the constitution, but we do want a revision and abolishing of the discriminatory laws made against Pashtuns.
And I guess we'll wait for the light to get back on. So yeah, I think the non-violent movement is what is giving a lot of traction for PTM. I'm wondering still the nuance of the different groups, because for example, I know the Hazara community would say the same thing. They say we're not violent, we're not fighting, we're just living our lives, and we're just being attacked and massacred. And they're also trying peaceful methods like Jalila Haidar hunger strike, really trying to non-violent path.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what is, I guess, the difference? Is there a difference in why they're being killed, and if not, then? No,
I don't think so. There is a difference. I think we sympathize with Jamila Haidari and her friends, and we wanted Manzoor Pashtun wanted to join her last year when she went on hunger strike, but he was banned from entering Balochistan.
From Kota airport.
Yeah. So I think this is the way to go. I think we have much in common. I think we are both oppressed minorities based on our religion, our language, our appearance, but for Pakistani establishment, the army, it doesn't matter whether you are Pashtun or Hazara or Baluchi or Sindhi or Syriaki. They just want to run their business, and everybody will be punished, crushed if he or she is an obstacle to their projects. Even the Punjabis. So the Punjabis, that's the elite province. The most of the establishment originates from Punjab. But even I think we say even Punjabi people suffer. So we think we need to join forces with Hazaras, with non-violent Baluchis, but we hope also, we say to Sindhis and to Punjabis, we have nothing against you, we are not against you, we are against the ones who oppress us, who kill us, who oppresses our culture and language, who invades our homes, who sexually harass our women, and who loot our country, and actually who are planning a gradual, systematic ethnic cleansing. And that's not good for Punjabis too, because they also lose their identity.
And so what do you think then, I guess, between all do you think that the government or state authorities are trying to prevent collaboration and between different movements? Are they intentionally trying to prevent that? Are they perhaps fearing that? Or is it...
They do. They really do. That's a very important question. By creating fear, and they rule us. They divide and rule us. That's their policy, which they have inherited from the British colonialists. I think they have copied those policies until yet, and the British don't do it anymore. We are hopeful, but they did it when they were colonial powers. But so this is a very outdated, brutal policy. So even within the Pashtuns, we have been divided in many parts. So we have been divided in by the Durand line.
Oh, sorry. Maybe there's a...
Yeah, you should.
We're almost done, don't worry. The Durand line.
This is a very important question. Yeah. So this is an important point. So Pashtuns have been divided in Pashtuns in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and then within Pakistan there is the Pashtuns in Pakhtunkhwa and Pashtuns in Balochistan. They had made FATA, which was a semi-autonomous area, but it was a darkness. They had a very dark law, which was the FCR. And so before PTM, Pashtuns, different tribes of Pashtuns knew very little about each other. They were afraid of each other. So they had prejudices about each other, and let alone about Baluchis or Hazaras. So this is a policy of divide and rule, which we need to resist and to stop, because we are from the same region. We have a lot of cultural commonalities, but most importantly, we are human beings who deserve their rights. And this is not what is in the interest of Pakistan Army.
So
Divide and rule is in their interest.
Speaking of human rights in Pakistan, so now you're at the council. You've had a short experience here. What have been the challenges? I guess what do you leave from the council with? What have you learned? What has worked well, and what is the challenge moving forward? Where have you experienced blocks?
Yeah, so we had hoped to address people at the gatherings, at the side sessions, or to have an intervention. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of those because of the cancellation because of the coronavirus outbreak, and then that has put some pressure on the General Assembly. So we didn't get, but still, we are not disappointed. We are very hopeful. We go back with a lot of hope, because we met a lot of good people who sympathize with us and who got to know about our cause. So we have made some good contacts with human rights activists of all over the world, and now we know how things work here. So we are preparing already to come for the next sessions and join our and make our case, tell our story, tell about the miseries of a Pashtun nation to the council. So this time was challenging, but still we are going with high hopes. I think we are, as I told, modest people, so still glad with what we have achieved.
And how has Pakistan responded to you being here, your presence at the council, if anything?
We don't know. I hope they don't mind.
I hope they don't mind. So nothing,
We haven't heard anything. We haven't.
Okay, haven't intervened.
Yeah, we haven't seen any thing that could look like they are sabotaging us, but hopefully they will leave us with rest. But even so, but they are intimidating us. I hope their arm is not strong enough to reach us here.
They are intimidating you?
They are intimidating PTM. They are intimidating our leader. As you know, Masood Pashtun was captured, arrested for 1 month on baseless charges. Other leaders, our leaders are getting in and out of prisons. A lot of members, as I told, more than 8,000 people have disappeared without. So these are enforced disappearances.
And I'm just wondering, like, how have you chosen which legal mechanisms to try to implement and use? For example, the special procedures, the UPR, the intervention. Like, how do you decide about which tools to use? And
to be honest with you, we are very, very blank in that. We know very little about which legal possibilities there really were. We were hoping just to start with tell a few minutes, tell the basic facts of the Pashtun oppression by Pakistan, and to do an intervention. But now we are as you know, we are a very young movement. People from all sides are joining. I am not a lawyer. I know very little about legal options here. Mr. Yousuf Ali Khan is a lawyer, but in Pakistan we are trying to create a group, advocacy group, to educate ourselves into the options, and hopefully we will come stronger.
If you could request from the UN, for example, ways to improve this system for you as new activists coming into the system, new to the UN system at least, you know, what would you suggest they do to help make this process more effective for you, or more easy for you to advocate for your community?
Yeah. But yeah, I think it should be more accessible. We sense that it's not easy to have access to the UN. It's a complicated way. I think everybody needs to be able to have a say here, to have, for example, to have the right for an intervention. That would be our suggestion, our wish, to make this accessible to also these kind of young movements with little experience.
Yeah, and we want to try to our leader Manzoor Pashtun come to the European Parliament to speak there, and we inform our all organization in all country of Europe. They must be meet with the member of the parliament. They must be meet with the different organization. They must be send them statements about our demand and what happening with us. Yeah, we continue our struggle, but this is how my friend disclosed that the new only 2 years we started the struggle. Hopefully, in future we'll be successful.
Yeah, we are learning. We hope to learn from young, energetic people like you.
I've only been, it's funny, I feel like it was yesterday, I was coming in here, I was lost. I think it's my 4th time here,
wow.
And now I'm just starting to realize, you know what I mean? You're just starting to feel a little more comfortable, but now you're at the point of, you're depressed because you realize the problems are so many.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to make change, but there's a lot of people who, the minority groups give other minority groups good advice. Their support, at least there's collaboration, unity, solidarity among minorities at the very least. If not the states, I think it's important that we have at least each other. Because if we don't have that, then we actually have nothing. Because it's very difficult for any group to persuade a state.
You have NGOs there in Canada?
I mean, it's not the one at the UN, but I have an NGO in Toronto that supports refugees. They connect them to resources, people, communities that can support them. So in Toronto, I guess I've been working with refugees, not just from Afghanistan, but from Syria, everywhere, Africa, for about 10 years now. Mostly I've been spending my time starting off volunteering at refugee camps in Hungary, Greece, Germany. Then I spent about 2 years doing research just like this, interviewing, over 100 refugees, civil society, politicians, journalists about the refugee crisis in Europe. So I visited, 5 to 10 refugee camps between Hungary and Germany, comparing not just the migration, but also the integration challenges. What is, if one year forward, how is a refugee integrating in Germany versus Hungary? Why? What is the difference? And also there, looking at the law, the Dublin regulations in Europe, which are preventing, that were still to this day, sorry for that. Still to this day are preventing refugees from integrating effectively into European society. It's a shame. I did the research in 2013, 2014. We knew the problem then was discovered to be the regulations and the laws. It's how many years now? It's 2020. 7 years later, still the same activists are saying the same thing, and Europe has not still reformed that law that's causing so many problems. But from there, I've been working with. That's where I also met so many refugees. On the shores of Greece. Not just there was Pashtun, there was Hazara, there was a lot of Afghans, lots of Afghans. Majority of the camps were always Afghan and Syrian, and so that's where I got re-engaged with all the issues of our people. And I think that it's very hard once you see the suffering to go back home and continue your life. So from then I decided to make it more of a focus in my academic career, in my professional career, and also to that's when I started the NGO in Toronto 2015 with I co-founded it with through an innovation hub called Mars in Canada. And since then it's been about 5 years now. Time goes very fast.
Wow, you're such an inspiring person. So young and already accomplished so much.
It's crazy. I think I was 19. I was 19 when I went to Hungary in the refugee camps there for the summer, and then from there, just one thing, the next thing.
Step by step.
Step by step, and then I think I started at the Human Rights Council 2018, just advocating, same as you guys actually, exact same. Looking around, international laws being broken, people are suffering, the Hazaras are being massacred, not just Pakistan but Afghanistan, ISIS, Taliban, just so many different, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, so many different people who are persecuting. You're right, but the point.
Lashkar-e-Jhangvi,
the proxies of Pakistan.
The proxies, but the point is regardless of who's killing, the point is they're dying and there's no one protecting them, and the state has done nothing. The Afghan government should be here speaking to the minority rights, and they come and they say there's no problem. So if your own government can't protect you, can't even speak for you, who do you go to? Because
they cannot protect even themselves,
Not even themselves. The recent peace deal, whatever it is.
Musharraf disclosed that, Hamid Gul disclosed that, Aslam Beg disclosed that we met Taliban, they met Taliban. And then said they came to Afghanistan with Taliban, Pakistani army.
But the key thing I think is the lack of justice as well, where, the thing is, if a state is functioning, right, if somebody commits a crime, they have accountability for that.
Yes, of course.
Of the, tens of thousands of Hazaras killed, there's never been one single perpetrator punished in the history. Not a single one. How is that possible that there are thousands and thousands of people constantly being killed, not and there's no security, there's no justice, and you can't go from city to city, and there again. Yesterday we talked. There's somebody who was just in Afghanistan and living their life, normal life, trying to just they're not bothering anybody, they're not military, and somebody tries to behead them, because they have different religion, because they're just trying to live their life. So that's the frustration, I guess. So I came here and just tried to raise awareness and speak up and learning along the way, like you guys. And it's been interesting, difficult, lots of learnings. I think I believed a lot more in the UN before I came, but there are pathways that, but you have to be consistent, I think, is a problem. But access is an issue, funding is an issue. We need to really, I think there's very little hope for the minorities unless we're together.
Yeah, exactly.
And once we have unity amongst ourselves, I think when we unite and have solidarity, we can make real change, not just for our groups, but as I think we talked yesterday, if we're fighting for minority rights, it's human rights. And if we're fighting for human rights, it's everybody's rights.
Exactly.
We want everyone to live, for everyone should have these basic things, right? Education, clean water, food, ability to just walk across the street, go to the market and not die. It's not very difficult, but to conceive. But I think the problem is the international proxy wars happening, and we really need the accountability from places like this, because the proxy wars start at the state level, right? The individual people on the ground are suffering, but the decisions are made up here. And so to bridge this difference, we need to speak up where the state decisions are being made. And hopefully, I'm looking forward to collaborating or working together more and seeing where it goes. But we're definitely not going to be going away anytime soon. So
exactly, we have to be patient. We'll be determined to.
And I know you guys must go. The time is up.
Thanks a lot, Isi. Are you okay with? Have we helped you enough?
Yes, thank you so much. And we can always, you can have my email, and if you have more information, feel free to forward me articles, and I can share more information with you as well.
Sure, you do.
Yeah, you can distribute with your networks, and I'll distribute with mine, and we can keep talking. And